Hi, my name is David Still and I'm the author of It's Our Earth Too. I'm coming at you today from the Resonance Project Foundation on the beautiful island of Kauai. It's Our Earth Too is a story about young people doing amazing things on our planet, and I'm honoured today to have two amazing young people who are doing amazing things. Firstly, I have Talia Abrams, a 16-year-old Kauai resident. Welcome, Talia. And I also have Ben Barkan, who is the owner of Home Harvest. So, okay, what I'd like to do firstly is start with Talia. I heard about Talia actually in Australia, so it is a great honour of mine to meet Talia and interview her and hear about her story of drafting a bill for the introduction of community gardens around Kauai. So, Talia, firstly I'd like to ask you, what inspired you to do such an amazing thing at such a young age?
To be totally honest with you, I was listening to the radio and I heard this horrible story about this family, and they had, I think it was $20 a day for food, and there was 3 kids and a mom. And she said, oh, I can't do anything about this. I just go to like McDonald's or any fast food place I can go. We have no money. That's all we can afford. So I was trying to think of ways that I could do something about it. And I was like, well, what if we just put gardens in everyone's homes and their backyards, and you know, we put together a team and we just went around the island, and whoever needed one could have a garden. And the more I thought of that, we had ups and downs. People would think, oh, you know, some people won't have the time. Most likely those people that need the gardens, they don't have time to randomly garden. They're going to be busy. They have full-time jobs or a couple jobs. So I was trying to find a way that everyone could have access to something instead of it just individually, and have healthy food and be able to learn about how they can get their own. And so that's when I came up with the idea for edible landscape in public places for public use. So that's how I started it. That was my original idea for it.
That's amazing. One of the problems with our world is there is so much duplication, and it's really good that the way you're looking at things is like a shared effort, if you like, where people work together on things and share the labour and share the fruits of the labour. Excuse the bad joke. So yeah, and how has it been? How's the process been of converting this idea into reality?
I'd have to say it's been a road. You know, there's the bumps and the potholes, and then there's some smooth sailing, and then you kind of are driving, and then there's a fork in the road, and you kind of just swerve around, and sometimes you get lost. So I've had times where you know, coming up with different plans and ideas, and when you talk to different organizations and see what they say and what they want to put into it and how they want to change it. And so there's a lot of different things about that I never realized, but have also helped me change it in a good way. Yep. And it's become it's evolved into something a lot better, and it has made me really happy with how it's turned out so far. So yeah.
Have you located an actual piece of land that you have in mind, and how's it going?
I have a space, and so far it's doing okay. We haven't started putting in everything, but we have the area planned out, and we hope to start with that soon. It's in Kilware Park, and we hope to put in fruit trees and vine plants along the fences and herbs and other plants. So it's really exciting.
Okay, well perhaps Ben, you can tell us a little bit about what is Home Harvest?
Good question, Dave. So I'm 24 years old, and in 2008 I started an edible gardening company, which I've been running for the last 6 years. We're starting our 7th season this spring. We're based out of Boston. So we transform areas in the city and in its suburbs into thriving, attractive edible gardens with an emphasis on long-term fertility and high yields that are mostly edible. So what we're really trying to do is transform the whole city into a food-producing oasis. one garden at a
Wow.
time. And what's awesome is working with someone who's never grown anything edible in their life before. A lot of our clients say, oh, I have a black thumb, I've never successfully grown anything. And after a few months of harvesting your own food every day, they fit right in. They become naturals. They become wonderful gardeners almost overnight. And it's really nice to see that transformation on a physical level with their land, but it also happens on a more mental and spiritual level with the family itself. So you can see the transformation on the outside as well as the inside, and that's really a nice thing to witness, especially when the kids get involved, when they're growing their own food. I've worked with children, wide age ranges, and they start out never eating any vegetables, and then after a few months of growing their own food, they're really into it, and they're excited to harvest their own strawberries or tomatoes or whatever it is we're growing. And I have a similar background. I never used to eat any vegetables as a kid, and now after working on several organic farms, now I'm growing. Sorry, there's a mosquito. Now I'm growing vegetables, professionally. So it's just funny how when you have that exposure, it really changes your lifestyle quite a bit.
Wow, that is music to my ears to hear you say that, because just here at the Resonance Project, being able to go over and harvest fruits and vegetables and have them, it really creates that direct connection with nature and that gratitude. And it's great to hear you say that you can see the change in.
You see the change. Yeah, it's not that hard. Once you know what you're doing, you can grow a huge amount of produce in relatively small spaces. Just in the area we're sitting here, you can grow pounds and pounds and pounds of nutrient-dense produce. And it's not until you start you realize how much potential there is everywhere you look. It's really crazy that people are starving in this country when there's so much food you can grow in such a small space, and it's really not that hard to do.
What are some of your biggest challenges you had starting out?
Biggest challenges starting out? Well, I didn't get any outside investment, so I started with just the tools that I had and my bicycle and a trailer. So I started very low budget.
Oh, wow.
So that was a challenge. Hauling around compost on a bike trailer was not fun. So getting my first truck definitely helped. Challenges regarding soil fertility, that's a big one. So I'm from Boston. We have a lot of soil contamination issues. So lead abatement or reducing the bioavailability of lead and other soil toxins is a big part of what we do. So learning a lot about that was certainly a learning curve. Going to school for several years helped quite a bit. So I was running the business while being in college. That was definitely a challenge.
Oh, wow.
But it taught me so much, and I apply everything I learned to the business almost every day. So it gave me a lot of confidence moving forward and growing the business.
What did you study?
So I studied sustainable agriculture.
Yep.
I have an Associates of Science degree from the Stockbridge School of Agriculture. And I learned everything there is to know about growing food. And
well, in that case, I have a question. What are the common mistakes that rookie farmers make?
Farmers or gardeners?
Gardeners, sorry.
Okay.
People like me who wanted to start a garden.
If you wanted to grow your own food and you didn't know a lot about soil fertility or how to go about it, there are several mistakes you can make. A big one is not testing the soil. Particularly around old houses, you tend to find old paint chips, which can be high in lead. So usually people start growing food right around their old house in an area that seems suitable, but they don't test their soil. And a lot of plants can be like sponges for heavy metals. So testing your soil as a starting point, that's a mistake I see pretty regularly. Another big mistake is poor microclimate analysis, so planting crops that need full sun in the shade or vice versa.
Right.
Really understanding the natural rhythms of your site takes some time and a little bit of skill. So that's a big mistake I see. But the biggest mistake that I see regarding edible gardening is people try to start their garden focused on production, and they ignore aesthetics.
Right.
That's a big problem. So if you're growing in an urban area, all your neighbors are going to see it, all your friends are going to see it. And the problem is, if you're really interested in permaculture or organic gardening, it's also really important to be interested in how the garden looks. Because if you grow food and it's unattractive, you're actually polarizing the issue, and you're showing people that vegetable gardening is ugly, and it doesn't have to be. Vegetable gardens can look really beautiful, and that's a big mistake I see. I see a lot of unattractive gardens, and I think that will deter some people from wanting to grow their own food. So with home harvest, it's really important that we take into consideration maximum productivity as well as a beautiful aesthetic as well.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like...
It's got to look good, you know?
Yeah.
We're dealing with people who may not appreciate the value of homegrown produce sometimes, so it's important that although it yields a lot, it also looks really pretty.
Is there anything you'd like to ask?
How many people are in your organization?
Yeah.
And yeah.
So it started with just myself. So I used to do all the physical work, all the marketing, all the outreach, all the design, all the consulting. It quickly became overwhelming. And you know, after working 50, 60, 70-hour weeks, it's just not sustainable. So I had to hire people, and we're much more, we're much better suited for growth now. And I have 5 employees currently working with Home Harvest, and we're hoping to add 2 this season. So by the end of this coming season, we might have 8 employees and 3 trucks on the road, which is really exciting.